Good evening. I'm Kamala Gunawardana. Because some of you don't know me, I'm Kamala Gunawardana, Chairperson of Civil Engineering Sectional Committee for this session, 2022-23. Actually, it's a great privilege for me to welcome you for this session and really happy to do this honor. First and foremost, I welcome Engineer Neville Ladduahetti, our resource person this evening, who accepted this task with a keen interest and with no hesitation. So you welcome you for today's session. Even in these difficult times, meeting you in person and the time we spend here together with this webinar will be truly effective. So I welcome you, the participants who physically present here, also who are joining online. Some of you all are joining online. So welcome everyone for the session. Let me come to today's event. Our resource person, who is a well-known personality in the industry, Engineer Neville, also a veteran author and a journalist as well. So I do not need to give you any introduction, but I think I must say this. Engineer Neville, I appreciate your acceptance to conduct this lecture today, elaborating your thoughts on water resource management, focusing on Upper Alhara project and future expansion of the Victoria project. So our gathering will accept the fact that this is a timely important subject matter and a vital area that you will discuss within a very short time, which we have allocated at today, actually, maybe 1 hour. It's a very short time, 1.5 hours. So surely this would be an interesting session in this evening. Actually, I forgot to welcome our past President, Engineer Shula De Silva. I welcome you, sir, and our Deputy CEO, Engineer Gunawardana. You all are here with your busy schedules, actually. Still, so excuse me for not welcoming in the proper time. With this instigating note, we are planning to start today's event I will not take much time, but I wish our past President, Engineer Chula De Silva, will share a few thoughts, because I think you are the one who took this proposal, we discuss with us. So if you do have anything that would discuss here about 1 or 2 minutes about our resource person, I invite you.
Good evening, Ms. Kamala. Kamala Gunawardana.
Yeah, you can go.
And today's resource person, Mr. Neville Ladduahetti. Thank you for coming and joining us and helping us with this project here. All I can say is that I first came to know Mr. Ladduahetti when I joined state engineering as a raw engineer straight from the university. I think it was even during my vacation time, when he was the chief engineer of the state engineering. And that was during the heyday of the state engineering, when it was a pride to say that you were working there or you have worked there. And I won't take much of your time, but just to let you all know that Mr. Ladduahetti is a person who has vast experience, and he's proposed, actually he wants, it is these 2 papers that he has had appeared in the newspapers, which would be discussing with us and seeing what the relevance of what the contents of that are for the engineering fraternity of this country at this time. So that's all I've got to say, that you all have got a very knowledgeable and experienced person to present these papers to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Chuladi Silva. Actually, I welcome our engineer Neela Abhisekar, Deputy CEO. Thank you for coming here with your busy schedules. And Professor Chandragamge, yeah, it's a great pleasure to welcome you also in this presentation today, right? So I think why I gave you an engineer Chuladi Silva to say a few words, because I can understand how the friendship works, because I knew that you both know each other for a long time back. So thank you. So I'm confident that this would be a very impressive and effective discussion. So without further ado, I invite Engineer Neville Adwahetti to take over the stage. Over to you. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you. First of all, I want to start by thanking Mr. Chula de Silva for energizing the Institute of Engineers to take this matter up, which has been an issue of concern for me when I realized what we were missing. And throughout, from the day I came to realize some of these shortcomings, I have tried to alert many people to take notice of these issues and do something about them. So it's in this context that the contribution made by Chula is so significant, because speaking, alerting engineers of this institution to make them aware of what I need to say is of paramount importance, because I sincerely hope that when I finish, you will see that there's an urgent need to do something about these issues, because they are issues that do concern our country. The first issue that I wish to raise or talk about is about the emphasis given by several successive governments about the need for renewable energy. And in this regard, the solar energy to replace traditional forms of power generation has caught the attention of most in the country. My concern was that although this is a very valid and important direction that we should take, the fact that we have a resource that is being wasted is what made me undertake this exercise. So in this regard, I want to mention, and I wrote this article following a note in the media that the Minister for Power of Energy is contemplating setting up a solar power plant to a capacity of 100 megawatts at a place called Siamalandu. And also they are exploring possibilities of floating solar panels in reservoirs as well. I just happened to come across researching various things, which is part of my life. The fact that the Victoria Dam, when it was constructed, they had the wisdom to provide opportunity in the structure to double the capacity of Victoria. It is currently generating 210 megawatts. So although it was a project that was constructed strictly on grant, they perhaps did not want to build a power plant that could generate the full capacity of Victoria. So what they did was they built the dam and made provisions in the intake, etc., for future expansion, and provided only 370 megawatt turbines for the first stage. The fact that this has gone on for so long without exploiting its full potential is what is very unfortunate. And I want to read out this particular one. It is from a report. The report was titled Feasibility Study for Expansion of Victoria Hydropower Station, dated June 2009, and undertaken by the Ministry of Power and Energy, of all people, on behalf of Japan International, that JICA, Electric Power Company by Nippon Company, consulting firm, have not been implemented. Either Ministry of Power and Energy have rejected the recommendations, or they in the ministry are gathering as usual cobwebs with most reports. So the section in that report says the expansion of the Victoria Hydropower Station is composed of a headrace tunnel, a surge tank, penstocks, and powerhouse. The water intake was already constructed for the purpose of future expansion of the hydropower facility during the construction of the existing Victoria Dam. One possible option for expanding is simply to place these components nearby the existing hydropower station. So that is the recommendation in the JICA report. Section 7, under conclusions and recommendations, the design in the study is carried out at more detailed level than conducted in the feasibility report on a hydropower project in accordance with established scope of works for the study. And the basic design, salient features of the civil structures, and the electrochemical component for the optional development of the scheme, sections of drawing have been prepared and it's available. So you can see, as stated in the feasibility report cited, the fact that provision was made in the existing Victoria Dam reflects the confidence the original designers had to double its capacity. The fact that it is there and we are not using it, instead we are building new solar power plants or covering 500 to 1,000 acres just to get 100 megawatts. This can generate 210. And this is so pathetic that it is in this state. And my intention and urging to Chula was, why don't you all, in fact, I mentioned it to former Director of Education also, Kamala, no, Bharata Kamala, why don't you all take this up with the ministry? So this exercise is part of that. So it is provision for expansion. When it's there, we are not using it. And all it takes is, we are talking about, like if, for instance, just assume for a moment that the recommendation in the JICA report is wrong, then say so. Say it can't be done. But the fact that Gibbs, one of the largest consulting companies in UK, who designed the Victoria Dam, made provision and constructed it, shows that they were so confident that it could be done. So I don't think they would have gone to that extent and provided the finances to do all of it, because it was a grant, if it was not possible. And they certainly had very good intentions when they did it. So that is one issue. The other matter that I wish to bring to your attention is regarding the availability of water to the upper Lahara Canal. Now, as you know, there are some massive infrastructure projects underway right now. There are tunnels being constructed, canals and so forth to take water from Moradhapalli to Anuradhapura and beyond. Now, has anybody studied where this water is coming from? Because what is available now is the water that comes from Bhutan through the diversion canal and so forth, and what's in the catchment. So, given that situation, extra water has to come from somewhere. And this is the premise on which all this infrastructure is being constructed. The report prepared for the Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources Management, dated December 2014, by technical assistance consultants on behalf of the ADB, in paragraph 21, states, the study has shown an increase in the diversion capacity at Moradhapalli to 974 MCM annually, required for the upper Lahara Canal. Now, this 974 for the upper Lahara Canal comes from this. 617 MCM is required for the 5 ancient tanks: Nimeria, Virtale, Kaudulla, Antale, and Parakras. So that amount of water is needed for them. Then, then we have they are expecting supplement diversion from Kalugan, 772 MCM, and 496 from Bhutan, and 344 MCM from its catchment. When you add up all that, it becomes 1,612 MCM. If you deduct the water needed for the ancient tanks, you are left with 994, which is what they are designing the upper Lahara Canal for. 994. Now that depends entirely on bringing 774 MCM, 72 MCM to Kalugan from somewhere. And that somewhere is Randanigal, which is below it. So you have to bring it from Randanigal, then through various other tanks and so forth, Jungle and other tanks on the way, augment Kaluganga, and Kaluganga feeds Murugapalli. The capacity of the tank at Kaluganga is 3 times the size of its own catchment, which they have already constructed. So there is a structure built to collect water 3 times its own catchment, which means that it is dependent heavily on bringing water from underneath. So you see how it's going on. Now, if you don't bring water from underneath, then what is left? What is left is from Boatana 496 MCF, 344 its own catchment, making a total of 840. When the water needed for the ancient 5 tanks are deducted, that is 670, you are left with only 223 MCF, which is 1/3 the capacity of the infrastructure that is being built. So you can see we are taking loans, building things, and the other report that was highlighted by the media was the former president had gone there and they had indicated that it would take about 6 years to finish all the infrastructure. He said, no, it has to be done in 4 years. So they brought down additional tunneling equipment to construct it fast. And we are doing all this without water. The water for Andanigal and nothing has happened. So for years and years, it could be possible that all that infrastructure that will be built will be underutilized. So this is the other thing I want to bring to your attention. Now, if we go on like this, I think there's a serious responsibility on the part of the technical people in this country to highlight these things. We have to we cannot hand it over to people who just want to take loans and build monuments that are underutilized. If there's a purpose, a benefit, fine. But this is just totally, you can't justify anything. So the other issue that is not taken into account in any of this is what is going on now with regard to the gathering of elephants at Minneri. At the moment, there is the only water that is available is what comes from Boatana through to Elhara Canal, its own catchment and the catchment at Victoria. Now, because Murugapalli is there, whatever water that comes is collected. That is being sent to Minneri. Minneri, traditionally, the pattern was that it releases water for the harvest. And when it releases that water, the level goes down and the surface is exposed and the fresh grass grows, which attracts the elephants to come there for the gathering. Now, because Murugapalli has water and they don't know what to do with it until the infrastructure is constructed, the water is sent to Minneri, and Minneri is always full. So no grass grows, no gathering. The further fact is that the little water that is, without bringing water from Randanigal, the only water that is available is going to be sufficient to go only up to Andhra. There are about 3 tanks all interconnected there. The capacity is balanced, that 223 MCM that I was talking about, along with the own catchments and so forth. So there is no, unless you bring water, you can't bring. Now, no report have I seen, I'm sure, I hope that, I sincerely hope, that people have studied the impact of sending water from Randanigal to Mongolia. What happens to power generation at Randanigal? What happens to the depleted water at Minipur? And for all the extension schemes that are being done on the left bank of the Maharan. What happens if the water availability for Maduro and the east is not available? So these are serious issues for the technical people of this country. I hate to say this, but it's our responsibility to make people aware that these are the issues that are there. Independent studies have to be done. Volunteers have to be found. People, if they can't get volunteers, then we have to find government some kind of funding. But the studies have to be done. Otherwise, it will be arbitrary decisions taken by people. And consequences can ultimately end up with choosing water to be sent to them. Anandapur and to the north, and depleting deliveries to the east. This can end up with social problems. I mean, we are creating issues that can lead to controversies. Now, let me say this as a precaution. That note is, now consultants write various reports, and we sometimes treat them as gospel truth. That's not the case. There, we do not study the content of these reports. And I'll tell you a living example I have also, I have experienced. There was a report prepared by for the ADB by JICA to set up a storage plant in Kandy. As you know, Kandy, or all the houses have septic tanks. They are not maintained properly, so the water seeps through, ends up in the Madala, and then finally into the Mahavan. So this report and the proposal to set up a storage plant was there around 10 years. It went through various ministers as well. Then what happened was the report recommended 3 sites and identified 10 acres of land from the Gannorua research station as the best site. The director of agriculture flatly refused to release 10 acres of land from Gannorua research station. Okay. You're obviously aware of it because you're smiling. So, when it was there, Dr. Kullu Singh and I were at one time in 2004 appointed to the Ministry of Urban Development and Water Supply and the capacity as honorary advisors. I saw this report, looked at it, and I realized what the problem is. I suggested to the chairman to appoint the chief engineer and 2 others to study the report and see whether there's a flaw in it. They discovered that the 10 acres is needed because it was based on a temperate climate. They took the drawings from a drawer in Japan and sent it to us and wrote a report. They didn't realize that in a tropical climate, sewage breaks down much faster. The 10 acres were reduced to 4 acres. Can you imagine the change? Everybody was shocked. I had one meeting with all the people involved in Peradeniya Agricultural Department. And I'm not boasting, but I have to say this. The director of irrigation at the end of that one meeting agreed to release 4 acres of land from Banno Road, and he congratulated me for saving his trees. The job is being done and people are getting connections to it. What I am trying to energize all of you and anybody who's listening is the need to get down to the fundamentals of what we do. I hope I have got your thinking. Please do something about this Victoria expansion. Please or do whatever has to be done to bring it to the attention of the authorities. That provision is there. And use those provisions to do something, because it's the cheapest renewable energy you can find in Victoria. And there is an absolute need to study what we are going to do with the infrastructure that is being built now for the upper Allier Canal. If we don't bring water from somewhere, that thing is a wasted exercise. If we bring water, what is its impact on what's going on in the rest of the country? So that's what my message to you all. And if there are any questions, let me know, please. I'll try to answer them. This will look like it. So, thank you. I can answer them from now on. Sorry?
You can see.
Oh,
What's happening? Yeah. Thank you, Engineer Neville Ladwahetti. I think we have our members here presented physically here and a lot of members in joining online. Now it's time for you to raise your questions, any clarifications. He's ready to. Okay. Yeah. One question here.
yeah.
Yeah. Dear Mr. Laddohetti, I understand that a similar provision is available at the Samanala Reservoir too, but I am not sure if the persisting leak is hindering to use the facility.
Which one? Sorry?
This is the question. Parakram Jaisingh,
Yeah.
engineer, yeah, he's
Yeah.
asking,
Yeah,
the engineer.
yeah.
I understand that a similar provision is available at the Samanala Reservoir too. But I am not sure if the persisting leak is hindering to use this facility.
Okay. I'm not aware of whether there is a similar facility as somewhere. If there is, certainly that has to be factored in because Samanala is a rather delicate situation because of the leak. I've personally seen that leak. I mean, you can't even visualize how big it was before the blanket was put on. So that's, I'm not aware of this, so I'm sorry I can't answer your question, Parakama, but if there is, it's worth exploring. It's worth, I'm sure the engineers at CECD should be aware of all the facilities available on Victoria, and they should be aware of it at Siamalaganga also.
May I ask a question?
Certainly.
So, I'm involved in a project, resilient health. So I was told that the water is released primarily considering the need to water to agriculture. So even today I saw on news saying that the water will not be released for power generation, that it will be kept for agricultural purposes. So increasing generation capacity may not be so useful if you are not giving priority for power generation. No?
But sir, the same water is already going down the river. Why not use it a little and then send it down?
Yes.
It's already going down. So you can use it and then use it for agriculture as well. Down Winnipeg left bank and the east province. It's there. One thing I would, it just occurred to me, I should have mentioned it. This issue of the gathering of elephants and the issue of elephants, I'm sure it should be possible with today's technology to monitor the water that comes from, that's diverted that Volvo into the Ambangal. Water, whatever comes from both and so forth, plus what is there, to carefully monitor to ensure that water to min area is done to such a scale that when it releases water for farming, min area gets depleted enough for the elephants to gather. You see, if you release more water downstream, then all that water won't end up at missing and that not happen. If you blindly just let it go. But I'm sure study can be done. There you can regulate it depending on the weather in such a way that you could regulate what flows into Mahakhanda so that min area level could be regulated as it was in the past. If we can do that, can you imagine what a thing you would be doing for the elephants of this country? It's really heartbreaking.
Can I ask a question, please?
Hi.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I raise a question, please?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Mr. Advaita is Parakrama. So I mentioned this Samana issue because just yesterday, chief engineer at CEB, whom I was interviewing, who had been at Samana, said that this provision is there. So, but like you say, it is a sensitive issue because of the leak. But that's not the point I want to raise now. I'm very, very pleased to hear you coming and talking at the IESL. And also congratulate the civil engineering section for raising this issue. Now, something I have been telling at IESL right along is we are not doing our job in many instances. Now, we have good record of some very good interventions. One thing is about this most disastrous project, trying to do an elevated railway for on the Kalni Valley line. Fortunately, for a very good intervention by ISL, that was averted. We are doing the same thing. So I would like to invite the Civil Engineering Sectional Committee to take this matter further to make sure ISL does take up both these issues of Victoria Dam and the addition of the 210 megawatts, as well as this Alhara issue. In fact, in present point of time, I would say this Alhara issue is much more important because we'll be wasting such a lot of money on that. So it's more than a question, it's a statement I want to make. It is time IESL woke up to its duty to the country with all the engineers. Because, and also something that has always been said, the CEB says we have no control of the water in the Maha Valley, and saying that the water issue is done by them. Two state institutions, they can't get together and put this thing together. We should be ashamed as engineers. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Welcome. Do you expect a response? No.
Well, no, you have done the job by raising the issue. Response should come from the chairman of the Civil Engineering Committee or from Chula as the past president.
Okay.
Actually agree with what Para says. I wonder if you remember Para.
Of course, I meet him.
And let me go back to state engineering. Where nothing was impossible. Just in the example, what was spoken today, but the lesson that Golgotha Dam was to be constructed. Normally wanted a fully automatic touching plant to complete the dam. And at that meeting, we were junior engineers sitting at the back. And what Gurusingh was saying, there's no problem, we have one. And nobody knew what was that for. That one, the touching plant that was used for the Nala Joy, which had been left to rest and do it. And was for the parts of it, the actual mixing drum was utilized to concrete the 13 acres and the one who the textile factory. And then he said he got the engineer involved at Google to take that plant and put it back to a fully automatic touching plant. That was in 1971, if I remember right. electronics was still in its introductory stage. This was electronic, mechanical, and electrical. And that was done, and the whole design was constructed using that. Now, on the whole design was in a garage. And the point is, it was the initiative and the willingness to use and do it. But we had on site, that's available to advantage, rather than import and everything else that goes with the importation. But this was the culture of the state India, which unfortunately was destroyed coincidentally on the birthday of the chairman of the institution and the rights of Mr. Ladwati, Mr. Suchiti, and host of others who either left the country or set up on their own here. And that was another message that we had to the engineering team, but was done there. So why is that not better? Is that the point is that we have to use the resources, and I quite correctly say the institution of engineering is there for that purpose. Madam President, Chairman, the civil, if you can take that up, I don't mind joining you all in some shape or form to coordinate with the electrical people, because when I spoke to a person yesterday, they said, we get a lot of money, what do you call it? Proposals, so we don't look at them. Now, obviously, they have not looked at this intervening that we looked at. And if you can, I guess, get them open up. This is not some imaginary thing. It is supported by facts and figures. Why don't we go ahead with them? So this is what I'm trying to get at. So those the respect is any of the electrical medium. No. I think you were trying to get some CEC to participate in this. They have, I think you know, that we have 46 participants today. Online.
Yeah.
So your concern confined to this little gathering here. So, okay, that's it. But please, okay, join in the, I just said join the council. Why don't we get these things moving? Thank you.
One thing I may add to that, on the horizontal diversion Chula was talking about, normally when you construct a barrage and you want to build a coffer dam, and the traditional method is to dump rocks into the river and do so. Then we got an idea. We made crates out of steel, cages out of, I don't know what you call it here, but in the States it's called number 3. And filled it with normal rubber. Normal rubber is you can buy from virtually anywhere. And as a result, we created big like gabions. That whole concept was introduced to build a coffer dam. Innovation is there all the time.
Actually, it's really interesting. I can see all the faces are very inquisitive and very happy faces. I can see everybody have enjoyed what you said and your delivery here. So thank you so much for that. But officially, I invite Engineer Himali Kadu to deliver the vote of thanks. Before that, there's a small token of appreciation. I will invite past President Engineer Chula De Silva to present the token of appreciation, please.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. So good evening to you all. I think it's my sole responsibility to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of Civil Sectional Committee. At the end of this important event and the discussion, first of all, I thank to very senior engineer, sir, Engineer Neville Ladduhetti, for your informative and fruitful presentation and eye-opening on us. And the one thought were there, get up with the fundamentals, what we do. I think it's the best word thought that we are taken from this all series. I think most of the engineers forget that fundamentals. That's why a lot of problems are there. Thank you, sir. And also, I am very well aware that you are always ready to share your extreme knowledge about matter in your expertise areas, collected many informations to practical and assessment. As a member of Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, much privileged to share those as happened today. Dear Engineer Neville Ladduhetti, sir, we appreciate and say very thank you for your fruitful presentation. My special thanks for the President of ISL, Engineer Dr. Kamal Laksiri, sir, and for the gratitude for the support and the encouragement, and also Professor Ranjit Dissanayake, sir, the President-elect, and for his tremendous support as well as enthusiasm to carry out such duties. So, and also behind the camera, we have a lot of supports from ISL executive staff, especially CEO, Engineer Neil Abesekara, and also assistants, and also all the staff, Chamila, and all the staff who give the service for us to success this event. And also, but last but not least, I thank you for your active participation for this event. I know all are in busy schedules, and also the economic crisis were one of the key factors to attend this physically, but also you have participated to the online. We will appreciate that. You are our strength. And at last, I hope I did miss any had event eventually those who are support to us. Sorry for any inconvenience regarding any inconvenience on behalf of Civil Section Committee. And thanks, and have a pleasant weekend. Thank you. Thanks.